What's up, everyone? Eric Cross from FantraxHQ here, talking another top 25 prospect ranking here on the Fantrax YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe below for more prospect and baseball content throughout the preseason and into the 2020 season. And today we're talking about the Oakland Athletics. Well, they're not one of the better farm systems around overall. There's a lot of top-end talent here and a lot of 2020 fantasy appeal too. So we're going to talk about that today. But first, let me read off my top 10, which is Hazell Lizardo, Robert Puason, 2019 international signee. Then we got AJ Puck, Jorge Mateo, Shawn Murphy, catcher, Austin Beck, Logan Davidson, Lazaro Armenteros, Dalton Jeffries, and James Caprillion round out the top 10. We're going to focus on that top 5 today. Like I said, there's a lot of 2020 fantasy appeal there for 4 of the top 5. Starting with Hazell Lizardo, who is one of the top pitching prospects in all of baseball right now. The best lefty in the American League. He's my 3rd overall pitching prospect right now, behind Mackenzie Gore and Forrest Whitley. He came up end of last year and really dazzled out of the pen. Struck out 12 in 6 innings. Got a very good 4-pitch mix. Most notably his 4-seam fastball in the mid-90s and longer stints. He can get up into the high 90s, as we saw in shorter bullpen stints. And then he has one of the best changeups. He's always had one of the best changeups in the minor leagues. Those 2 pitches have really been his bread and butter. He's also can turn it over and his fastball over into a 2-seamer with good sink in the 93-94 range. And then his slider, which has always had sharp break, he's really gotten a lot better feel for it over the last year or two, which has really elevated that pitch to another borderline plus pitch. So potential for 3+ pitches, or at least 2+ pitches in the 4-seamer and changeup. Mix in an above average slider in that 2-seamer as well. So you can really, work it in on righties and lefties. You can work both sides of the plate. That mix is really good. And he's got above average to plus command and control over it as well, which really adds to the effectiveness of that entire arsenal. So he's really, high at ceiling, high floor. There is a little bit of risk. He's had some injury issues in the past, but nothing that I'm too concerned about going forward. So, like I said, he's a future to ace type pitcher, one of the few guys I'll say that about right now. So definitely a guy you need to target heavily in 2020, as he's probably going to have a rotation spot to start the season. Another pitcher here is AJ Puck, who I'm not quite as high on. A lot of people are high on Puck. I'm high on the arsenal. I love the arsenal. Don't like the below average command and control that he's really exhibited since, dating back to his collegiate days at the University of Florida. So like I said, the arsenal is great. Mid to upper 90s fastball, wipeout slider, above average changeup with some good fade on it. And I'll mix in the curveball, but it's seldom used and really more of a get me over curveball. Like I said, the arsenal, there's no questioning that. But what's got him in the trouble and caused his arsenal to lose a little bit of effectiveness at times is the below average command and control, which really bit him throughout the minor leagues. And that's why, I'm not quite as high on him. So there's still some reliever risk here, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I say reliever risk, which is obviously we want him to be a starter, and if he can be a starter long term and kind of hone in the command and control, I think he'd be a high strikeout number 2 starter. But more than likely, if I had to bet money, I really think he's going to the bullpen at some point. But he could be another Josh Hader type. You never know. He's got that kind of he's a big lefty, got the power stuff, big breaking ball. So he could be the American League's version of Josh Hader, in the very near future. So really one to look out for. Definitely draft him in 2020 because he might get a rotation spot out of spring training. They're talking about it. It's definitely worth a draft spot in the later round flyer, just due to the upside. And then sandwiched in between these 2 big arms is Robert Puason, the only one here in this top 5 that doesn't have 2020 fantasy appeal, obviously because he was just signed and he was 16 when he signed, so he's still several years away. But there's a lot to like here. He's one of the the Fab 4, as I call them, from the 2019 signees, with him, Eric Pena, Bayron Lora, and then of course Jason Dominguez. And he's a big shortstop. He's 6'3", 165 at signing. If he adds bulk, I think he could be a plus power, raw power, and also plus speed shortstop for 2020 upside, maybe even 25-25. I think he can go that high. especially if he adds bulk. He's got a really nice looking swing from both sides, good feel for hitting from both sides, quick swing, quick hands, direct path, swing path through the zone. So if the hit tool comes along, there's some really high upside here. And even if he adds bulk, he has the defensive skills, I think, to stay there. Range is solid, arm is solid. So even if he adds bulk, I don't think he's necessarily going to move off of short anytime soon, at least not in the near future. So don't worry about that now. And then fourth on this list is Jorge Mateo. He's a guy I've been so up and down on throughout his minor league career, mostly because his career has been up and down. Look at the last 2 years. He hit 230 in 2018, and then came back to hit 289 with 19 home runs and 24 steals this past year in the PCL. How much of that was PCL inflation? And also, 2018, his home park was in Nashville, which is not one of the better hitters parks in the PCL. And then this year, they moved to Las Vegas, the Oakland's AAA affiliate, and Las Vegas has routinely been one of the top hitters parks in a hitter-friendly league. So you got to really question how much of that was the park, how much of that was just PCL inflation in general. So I don't necessarily think he's got to hit close to 20 home runs or even hit 290 anytime soon, because his contact skills and power don't show that he's going to be that type of hitter. I have him more as a 260 hitter, 10, 12, maybe peaks at 15 home runs. He shouldn't be 20 plus steals, but he hasn't been overly efficient the last couple of years. But, if he can clean that up, I think it says 260, 10, 15, 20, 25 upside. He should be up early in 2020, maybe even wins the starting second base job out of spring training. And then finally, another guy that's going to likely win the job out of spring training as he took over down the stretch. Don't see why he wouldn't be the starting catcher, and that's Shawn Murphy. Upside here isn't huge, but the floor is pretty high. I say that because he's one of the best defensive catchers in the minor league, in all of baseball. The guy has Gold Glove caliber upside, rocket arm, so that, especially behind the plate, that keeps you in the lineup even when you're slumping. And I don't think he's going to be a bad hitter. I think he's going to be, the contact skills and power are both like average to above average, 50-55 grade. So I can see him being a 270, to maybe 280 type hitter in that general range. 15 home runs, maybe he peaks around 20. Kind of probably a guy that hits like 5th, 6th in the lineup. So definitely a guy to target outside of the elite catchers. I don't think he's necessarily a starting catcher, a guy you want to target for your starting catcher spot in 2020, but 2-catcher leagues, he's a great second catcher. Or if you kind of want to wait and just take some upside, late round, he's your guy. So that is the top 5 right there. If you want to see the rest of my top 25, head over to FantraxHQ.com at the top 25 up there with blurbs in all 25. And make sure you check out the draft kit, which is in full swing now with 2020 content flowing every day. Got a lot of stuff there to check out. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel, like I said, right below to get all the latest videos we're putting out. A lot of videos, like I said. And then lastly, switch over your league to Fantrax today. I say that every video. Fantrax literally is the best platform for fantasy sports, especially Dynasty leagues. So make sure you do that today if you haven't already. I don't know what you're waiting for. If you do, you get a free year premium features. So I don't know what you're waiting for. Switch over today. Check out the draft kit. Check out some more top 25 prospect rankings. And I'll see you next time with another top 25.